Coming up on In the Know, a unique presentation is held on hip-hop and its cultural impacts within society.
I'm Deidre Behar. Some of the country's leading political scholars gathered at LMU to discuss how democracy is manipulated today.
I'm Paige Flagg. What is more important to LMU students, grades or knowledge? Find out in my report.
And I'm Jessica Boyd. Get to know your on-campus radio station in my special report.
From Roar Network's television studio at Loyola Marymount, this is In the Know, news that matters to you.
Welcome to another episode of In the Know,
the show where we only cover stories that matter to you, the student body. I'm Jacqueline Jimenez.
And I'm Lisa Baragos. As part of Black History Month, the ASLMU Interculturalism Committee hosted an evening of dialogue about hip-hop. Our own Jonathan Urbanus joined students in St. Robert's Auditorium as they gathered to hear an LMU professor speak on the subject.
Hip-hop can be expressed in many different art forms. For some, it comes best through music, while others let it flow through dance. Dr. Dion Bennett is an assistant professor in African American Studies with a background in anthropology and literature. She impressed upon the students how hip-hop is more than just a musical genre.
You know, when people say, oh, you have to represent, you can't represent nothing. You have to represent meaning. And I don't think we give hip-hop culture enough credit for the idea that there's meaning being produced.
As a self-proclaimed feminist, Dr. Bennett surprised the audience with her views on the objectification of women in rap.
The sexism that's really affecting young women is not in a music video. It's in the workplace, it's in the school, it's in their homes, it's in their romantic relationships, it's in the magazines that they're reading.
After Dr. Bennett's discussion, students were treated to two special hip-hop performances. First up was B-Boy Status, LMU's official breakdancing group. Afterwards, the crowd was pumped up by an exciting performance from Parable Paul and Rob Rush, two well-known rappers in the underground hip-hop scene. The students in B-Boy Status connect to hip-hop through their dancing, but how do other students embrace it?
By playing basketball, you know, like when you feel that certain beat, you're just in the zone. You just think of your favorite beat and you just keep bouncing with it.
And beats are something that Rob Rush knows all about, having been a part of the hip-hop scene for over 10 years.
At the root of it, hip-hop's about having fun. Hip-hop's about expression, about going to a show and having a good time. And that's what the dancers are for, that's what the art is for, that's what the music is for. And, you know, the MC is just supposed to kind of host that event. Dr.
Bennett worries that some of those aspects that made hip-hop so compelling in the past are being covered up by mainstream media.
Nas has said hip-hop is dead. It's not that it's dead, but it is getting buried. And so, you know, we all have to work to kind of make sure that people continue to recognize that this is a very dynamic art form.
This has been Jonathan Urbanus reporting for In the Know.
Another LMU event being held in honor of Black History Month is the Greek Step Show. It takes place on Friday, February 29th at 8 p.m. in Burns Backcourt. For more information, contact the Office of Black Student Services at extension 85808.
Super Tuesday wasn't the only big political event on campus this month. On February 11th, the Institute for Leadership Studies hosted its 7th annual Dilemmas of Democracy Conference. A diverse group of scholars came to campus to share their views on the theme of this year's conference, Manipulating Democracy. In the Know's Deidre Behar was on hand to hear their arguments.
With the up-and-coming election, politics are certainly on everyone's mind, and LMU students are no exception. Students woke up early to hear what some of the leading scholars had to say about the darker side of democracy in our nation. James Fishkin, a Stanford professor, pointed out how politicians use dirty tactics to manipulate the public.
And were it not for the negative ads intended to get me not to vote, my behavior has been changed in the direction intended. And I'm assuming that if a voter deliberated, she would likely cast a vote rather than just stay home.
Other speakers highlighted the fact that manipulation within politics is hardly anything new. Terrence Ball, a professor at Arizona State University, argued that even President Lincoln used manipulation in the Gettysburg Address to shift the focus from reunifying the country to abolishing slavery.
In one brief speech, Lincoln reframes the framing refounds the founding and radically recasts the meaning of the murderous and fratricidal Civil War. No mean feat, surely. Lincoln's was a blatant act of manipulation.
Co-organizer of the event, Wayne LeChamenant, reflected on the success of the conference.
Some of the minds that we had here are some of the biggest names, and the fact that we could actually get them, and one person came from London just to be here, and we had people who had to leave earlier. I mean, we had people from all over the United States come just to be at this event, so the fact that we could actually get them all in one spot to talk to each other was a pretty big thing.
After a day of political discussion, select students and faculty were treated to a dinner, followed by a special speech by LA Times writer Robert Scheer. One of the points that Scheer emphasized was that even the politicians themselves can become lost in the game of manipulation.
What does McCain think right now, and what does Barack Obama think right now, I really don't know, okay? And that's because we have been so manipulated, the process is so manipulated, that these people don't themselves know which end is up anymore.
Scheer encourages students to seek the truth and avoid believing everything they hear in the political and media arenas.
You are often lied to, but you can get at the truth. And that's why I write books, that's why I write columns, is I think we can have a debate. You know, there's still quite a bit of freedom in this society that we can use to challenge, but you can't be lazy about it. It really requires doing work.
But why should students even make the effort?
If not us, who? You know, if we're leaving it up to our parents, we can't be criticizing that generation for the way our country is doing. So I think it's very important to get to know like what the issues are domestically, but also internationally. I mean, there's a bigger world outside than LMU and the Buff.
This has been Deidre Behar reporting.
With so many students cramming for midterms this week, the question arises. What is more important, getting good grades or the knowledge you take away from a class? In the Know correspondent Paige Blagg searches for the answer in this report.
We all know that LMU stresses the Jesuit ideal of educating the whole person to prepare them for life after college. But are students able to find a balance between those ideals and that little thing we call GPA?
In order to get good grades, you have to acquire knowledge well and everything you learn in class well. So that's how you could get your good grades, because if you remember it and you study well for it, then you're obviously going to get the grade that you deserve.
However, some students see the problems in focusing only on obtaining that 4.0.
It's generally best to get a high GPA, but for me, it's more important that you actually learn, because a lot of people can cram and get high GPAs, but if they don't learn anything, then they can't apply it to the real world.
A GPA is a GPA. I mean, obviously that'll help you in the future, like hopefully even to get a higher salary, but when it comes to getting a job, but I mean, I feel like you learn a lot more, if anything, by going outside of your own comfort zone and getting to know knowledge outside of school.
But it can be hard to take away knowledge from a course that you have no interest in, as freshman Carly Bloom points out.
If it's something that I don't enjoy, like history, then I just get the good grade and I really still don't care about the topic.
Nonetheless, some manage to find a reason to care.
But you should try to, get something out of the class. You're paying a lot of money to go here, so.
And it's the parents who pay that money that influence some students' attitudes toward grades.
I think it's just how you're raised. I mean, my parents really push for strong grades. That's what they expect. That's what's expected from me. So it just really depends on, what you grew up with and who your friends are.
So it seems students think that both getting good grades while also acquiring knowledge to use outside of the classroom are both equally important. But what do the teachers think? As a professor in the English department, Dr. Amy Ross is constantly grading papers.
Hopefully, ideally, the grade is an accurate reflection of the work that the student has done in a class. So I would always fall on the side of knowledge. If you've gotten a lot out of a class and it just didn't work out with the grade, then that's okay, but grades matter.
She also recognizes that you can still take something away from a class, even if you get a less than desirable grade.
I mean, if somebody's really trying, the best they can do is a C, I think that that's fine. And in a lot of cases, that's going to be the case. It was certainly true for me when I was an undergraduate. There are classes that I loved, that I got a lot out of, that I still remember, and I was only able to make a C in them.
No matter which you think is more important, grades or retaining knowledge, good luck on those midterms. This has been Paige Blagg, reporting for In the Know.
But sometimes it's good to get away from the pressure of class and grades. However, if you don't have a car on campus, you're in luck, because the Line Express has added a bunch of new destinations to their travel routes. Students can now be driven to places like Howard Hughes Promenade and Playa del Rey Beach. To find out about all the new destinations and the hours of operation, visit the Line Express website at www.lmu.edu/lineexpress.
Have you ever flipped to Channel 3 while watching TV on campus and wondered what that music playing or people talking was? Well, what you were hearing was LMU's student-run radio station, KLMU. Not only is Channel 3 the TV guide, it also broadcasts the radio shows produced right here on campus. Correspondent Jessica Boyd takes a look at the student media outlet that is KLMU Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Tyler and Kevin Show. This is Tyler. No, I'm just kidding. This is Kevin.
No, you got that wrong again.
That's all right.
You are listening to the Tyler and Kevin Show, one of many student-run KLMU radio shows on campus. KLMU gives any student the opportunity to create and host their own original show. The Tyler and Kevin Show, for example, has listeners calling in and even reviews of some current movies.
I would like to say that Jumper was a good movie.
It was good.
We're going to segue into the movie review
Even
part.
though
what did Rotten Tomatoes? What did Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes didn't give it a very good review.
Co-host Kevin Gomez has been doing the show for 3 years.
The show that we do is a lot of talking because it's me, Tyler, and we just hired an intern, Casey, this year. So we have a lot of riffing. Every week we come up with funny topics, though. Well, we hope are funny topics, and we play as much music in between. About every 3 songs we talk.
Lauren Villa is program director for KLMU.
Our DJs bring to the campus their point of views, their music, and whatever they want to express on the radio. We have a couple of sports shows. We have hip hop, indie, top 40 shows. So when you're on the Channel 3 and you're looking for something to watch next, you're listening to them.
But KLMU isn't the only station broadcasting out of the 4th floor of Malone. Its sister station KXLU reaches a broader audience as it can be heard throughout Los Angeles on 88.9 FM. The station boasts a variety of music, including a nationally recognized salsa program, Alma del Barrio.
You're listening to Alma del Barrio at 88.9 FM in Los Angeles.
Student radio on campus is nothing new. In fact, it has been a part of the LMU community for the last 50 years. KXLU was first established in 1957 and over the decades has grown and adapted to the changes in music. In the late 80s, the station helped get exposure for up-and-coming artists. They were, in fact, the first to play California artists Beck and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. These days at KLMU, there is a strong appeal for students like Tyler Riggers to try their hand at DJing.
When I got to college, I wasn't really thinking radio, I mean, I'm an animation major, but a lot of people do things that's not their major. But I kind of remember how much fun I had when I was a child making the radio show on the little tape deck. And now that I'm here, I think maybe I'll go in that direction. Have a pleasant week.
Yep, until next time, we'll see you later.
This has been Jessica Boyd.
And for those of you who don't live on campus, you can stream all the KLMU radio shows online at myspace.com/KLMU. Its sister station, KXLU, also has content online. Visit www.kxlu.com for programming schedules, upcoming concerts, or just listen to one of the many shows.
That's all the time we have in this newscast. From all of us here at In the Know, we hope you have a nice and relaxing spring break.
And as always, if you are interested in any of the phone numbers or web links mentioned on this episode, please visit www.roarnetwork.com and click on the In the Know link. This has been Jacqueline Jimenez
and Lisa Bergosh. And now,
you're in the know.
Hip-hop, but they forget that hip-hop is fundamentally and essentially an arts movement.
And a hallmark of manipulation is this use of strategically incomplete arguments where the
Yes, we would have had a level more concentrated,